and welcome to Graciously Saved Podcast. My name is Sarah Kastner, and you guys are listening to the podcast that shares not only how to love, but how to receive it, how to be healed and set free, and what it means to live a life that is deeply rooted in Jesus. You guys, I have a very special and first-time guest with me today. This is my husband, Matt. You can say hi.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Okay, so I'm really excited, but first of all, I feel like I'm in trouble right now with you guys because I said that it wasn't going to be that long of a break, and this is it's been 5 months?
But there's a good reason.
There are many good reasons why I took a long break, but we're finally here, able to share our story, and I am so excited, you guys. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited that I'm doing season 2 and that I'm finally back in this routine of recording. I'm just beyond blessed and excited, and I just pray that God takes the stage completely and that I just become a little grain of rice. Mm-hmm. That's it. Just a grain of rice, and that his presence is just everywhere and that I'm filled with his spirit. Honestly, I'm so excited to share all of the things that I've learned within this summer. I feel like we've grown so much.
It's been crazy. It's been wild.
It has been just a crazy summer, and I'm just so excited to share it all with you guys. One of the things that I always said I would do is to be authentic, to be raw, and we all know that I'm messy. I just want to show people. Are you okay with people seeing how messy I am? Are you okay with that?
I'm ready for it. Yeah, we're all good.
He's used to it now.
Yeah.
Got a good, 8 years? 7 years?
I lost track.
That was a test, and you just failed, so we're going to talk about that later. But, okay, so what else? You guys, I cut my hair and I dyed it. If you didn't know, my hair is not naturally blonde. Is that a shocker?
No.
If you're not watching on YouTube, I had long blonde hair, and now it's short and black.
Who kind of steered you in that direction?
Jesus.
Really? Everybody, if it does look good, you can thank me. I'm the one who told her she should try it.
You did not
give me
the idea.
I did.
No, you didn't.
Really?
You didn't give me the idea. I threw out the options, and you were like, "Sure, just do it." I feel like you're like that with everything, though. I could literally tell him I want to get. I always tell him, can I get my neck tattooed like yours? If you're not watching on YouTube, my husband has a little tattoo on his neck, just a little one.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I just count them all as one.
I know, right? When people ask, I'm like, I think he just has one, maybe two, because your butt cheeks are not tatted.
I did have to convince her for my neck, though.
In case you guys were wondering.
I did have to convince her on that. I owe her a nice present.
Honestly, a nice present?
I owe you a gift.
You owe me a gift.
Yeah, that's how I sold you on getting my neck tatted.
You guys, we could literally open a can of worms right now. I forgot about that. So you do. We're taking a nice trip to the store this weekend.
We can edit
We're not editing anything
We
out.
can edit it. Mm-mm. Yeah.
Anyways, where was I? Oh, my hair. Right. I could literally tell him, can I shave my head? And he would be like, that's fine. Whatever you want to do. So, yeah, he was okay with the idea, but I definitely pitched it.
I'm all about the saying, happy wife, happy life. So if she's going to be happy with a bald head, then so be it. As long as I get some peace and quiet here and there.
Have you seen that video?
No.
I got a bald head.
No.
All right. Well, I have short black hair now, and I just want to let my natural hair grow, but I need to get used to my curly hair, because you remember that day I woke up with curly hair?
I'm trying not to, because you're still you still get mad at me over it, but
I don't get mad at you. Okay, this is what happened. For everyone who has curly hair, you know that when you cut your hair, it gets crazy curly. Well, since I've been bleaching my hair and it was super long, it just was not curly anymore. It was just frizzy. And then when I cut my hair, I finally had let it get curly after my shower. And my husband's face, when he saw me, he was like, "What did you do to your hair?" And I was like, "Nothing. I didn't do anything." And he swears that overnight I went to get a perm or something.
I thought she was playing with. I thought she was doing a joke.
Yeah, he thought I was pranking him.
She was testing me or something, and I guess I failed.
So he doesn't like how I look naturally.
That's not true.
Yeah, that's what we all got from this little
That's not
conversation. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into
What
roses.
about roses and thorns?
And thorns
Yeah.
first. Roses.
This is literally
You've
like
been
the
thinking
first
about this
time
rose.
being on camera, doing a podcast, and I'm going with the flow. Okay. But I do know about roses and thorns from your podcast.
The one episode he watched from last season.
I hear you recording, so I know everything that's going on.
By the time I come out, you're asleep on the couch.
No, I'm not.
Okay, what are your roses?
Okay, so my rose is I recently just got a promotion.
Woo woo!
Thank you for being a part of that and helping me along the way. I'm very blessed to be in a position that I'm at, and I give that all to God. But yes, that is my rose. I got a promotion. Mm-hmm. My thorn.
And you're wearing a shirt that has Jesus's crown with thorns on it.
Yeah.
Jesus image, shout out.
So actually, you know what? A thorn. So I recently just got a new old school, and took it out for the first time for an event. And on the way home, actually started overheating. And I mean, if anyone who knows old schools or lowriders, they know that that stuff happens all the time. So yeah, right. That's my thorn. But the Bel Air, the 56 Bel Air is looking good, and I'm excited for the car show.
All right. Well, I have 3 roses, but should I just hurry up?
Let's do one and one.
Okay, I guess. Dang, there's so many though. Okay, I'll do them really fast. Okay, first one is that we found a new church. I am so happy that we found a new church. I've literally been praying for this for years, years. And we've been actually visiting churches, and there haven't been any that the Holy Spirit's like, this is your church, this is your home church. We thought we found one, and then we were just like, no. And you know what's funny is that when I was looking for churches, I was like, okay, it needs to be like a big church. It needs to have the fancy lighting, the amazing music, and this and that. And I was convicted when I was actually at one of those churches. God was like, none of this is for you. Like, none of this is for you. This is all for me. And that was a huge wake up call, because I was like, okay, none of this actually matters. And I still was not, I feel like it was just like milk, and sometimes some of us are called, all of us are called to be given milk, those churches are necessary. I feel like they're very necessary. And when you're a baby Christian, that's what you need milk. But eventually you should be getting food. You should be getting meat, and that's what I feel like I was craving. I was craving real food. I needed to be fed. And I always told Matt, we need to find a different church, because the Holy Spirit just is not the Holy Spirit doesn't want us to stay at this church. I feel like there's something else. And I feel like at this church, that's exactly what we get, from the first day and on, every time we go there.
No, for sure. And I think, just to clarify that too, those churches that are for the beginning or the beginner Christians that are just kind of figuring out what Christianity is all about, or maybe they have questions. Those churches are necessary, right? Because we were at one point, getting fed there.
We all bless the kingdom in different ways as the body of Christ. And I feel like that's the same thing for churches. There are churches that draw people from outside in, and they're there to give milk. And then there's churches that are raising disciples, So we can get into that in a whole different episode and really dive into it. But that's just something that I'm really grateful for. A thorn is just the healing from mold. He knows. Yeah. It's such a roller coaster. It is such a roller coaster. And I just got through this little flare up of mold. It's just, you guys are going to hear about it, but that has been my thorn lately, is just that I could be feeling on top of the world, and then all of a sudden I'm I can't even walk. I'm bedridden. I feel like I'm extremely drunk, just crazy symptoms. So I'm going to go over all of that. those are all of our roses and thorns. Thank you guys so much for watching this intro.
Yeah.
It was just like a little update, and I'm sorry if it was really long, and I'm sorry if there are people here who are just looking to hear about mold, like they're just trying to find answers and we keep rambling. Sorry about that. But hopefully you're here to stay now.
We're getting there.
Welcome to the potty. The reason why we're doing this episode is because we finally get to share our story with mold toxicity illness. Yes, that is what caused all of my crazy health issues. If you haven't watched season 1, I highly recommend you to go back and watch them. They're a little bit cringy because I am not comfortable recording by myself. It's easier having someone else to like vibe with. But anyways, I have several health issues, including like fluid surrounding my heart, tachycardia, autoimmune disease, POTS, which is dysautonomia, and I'm going to get through all of that hopefully in this episode. I hope that I don't miss anything out, but if I do, I can always come back to it. And I'm just really interested to know who's interested in this. You know, like I feel like it's so common, but nobody talks about it, because I remember when we had found out, I was searching the internet like crazy and I could not find anyone at all who was experiencing my symptoms. So I know that this is something that I feel like people are starting to shed light on, but there still isn't enough people who are. Yeah,
it's crazy when you go through something and you're doing your research and it's something new to us, and it's like, oh, you know, you find one person that maybe has gone through it and you're like, okay, I'm not the only one. And now I feel like our algorithm is like full of just like people dealing with mold stuff. And
he just sent me a video today and I was like, thank you, Lord. Like just a reminder that I am not alone, because it really, really is hard feeling like you're the only one going through, you know, mold toxicity illness, and it affects everyone differently. And that's what we want to go over too. So we want to share our story with mold toxicity illness, as well as how God carried us through it, because he is the reason why we are here today. I can't even like start to begin, or I can't even begin to say how much he helped us during this time, and how I was reintroduced to Jesus, and just how he changed our lives completely, and took what the enemy meant for evil and turned it completely for good, because there is so much fruit from this right now, even though like it's hard to see that there is fruit. Like if you look back at our lives before the mold versus now, it's like there's so much fruit from this mold situation. So I'm just really grateful that I actually am on the other side, kind of, you know, like I'm on the other side of the testimony. I'm not like going through it wondering what the heck is going on with me.
Yeah, and I think it's important to, like, obviously Sarah and I have been waiting so long to share this with everybody, and just kind of also bring awareness. You know, we definitely want to make sure that, number one, we're giving glory to God on this whole situation that we're still dealing with. But if we can touch somebody, you know, who's maybe going through similar, you know, symptoms or similar situation, you know, Sarah and I want to be there for that individual or that family, because, you know, we went through a lot.
We've helped so many people too already. Like we have helped so many people just like put just a pin on what is going on in their health journey, like what's going on with their health and how it was caused by mold. Like a lot of people are living in homes with mold in them.
And you can't always see it.
You can't always see it. Like our story, you guys are going to hear about it, but we couldn't see the mold. We had no idea there was mold in our house. Yeah. Like it was under the floors and in the walls.
We always get like, kind of like weird talking about it. Like, you know, we're pretty clean people and we keep our house clean and we're like that. But, you know, when we tell our story,
I feel like
people act like we walked into our house and like there was just black mold everywhere, and we're just living in it and just chilling, eating pizza.
Some people are though.
Some people are,
Because a lot of the people that we told our story to, they were like, oh, there's mold in my bathroom, or there's mold behind my bed. Yeah. And it's like, that is not normal.
Yeah, it's not good.
And we had no idea, like, we'll get into that. We just didn't know anything about mold. Okay, so I have my laptop here because I feel like we miss out on things. Like we don't like share the entire story sometimes when we're talking to people, because we have shared our stories so many times that it just gets repetitive and just redundant. So,
and it's been a while since, like, you know, it's been
since we said our story, like from beginning to end. Like everyone who knows us knows about this mold situation, and quite honestly, I feel like they're just like over it. Like they're over hearing about it. So I guess we can start just briefly talking about our lives before the mold. I just feel like our marriage wasn't in the right place.
No.
I was going out a lot. I was drinking a lot.
And I'd already done that. You know, I'm obviously older than Sarah, so I was kind of at that stage where I've kind of been there, done that, and I was kind of over that scene.
Matt is 6 years older than me, for those of you who don't know. So I wouldn't say I had like a problem with alcohol.
I think you had a problem.
I had a problem when I would drink, yeah. Like I didn't know when to stop. It was just like, it was really bad. And if I wasn't going to stop for my kids or my husband, like this is obviously what I needed to stop doing that, because I haven't had alcohol in 2 years now, and glory to God. But it's sad that I had to be forced to stop. You know, I wish that I could have given that to God, surrendered that all on my own, but I was forced. Even right now, I couldn't drink. Like I would, if I would even dare to have a drink, like who knows, I'd probably end up in the hospital because of how, I mean, I had like this one dish that had wine sauce in it, and I literally felt like I was having a stroke. My whole face, I couldn't move it. It was numb. It was like I felt tingling in the right side of my brain.
You thought you were gonna. I remember we were picking up medicine that night too after dinner, and you were texting me like, something's not good. And
I was having an anxiety attack too. It was crazy. So, our marriage was just not good. Like, I really don't think that we would have lasted if this mold situation didn't happen. And I just remember being at a point where I asked God, you know, like, am I too far gone at this point? Because I'm living life for myself. Like, am I too far away from you? And if you're here, like, please just show me that you're here. And then 2 weeks later, he started warning me that something was coming. And I'm sorry for those of you who have already watched my testimony in season 1. I'm going to mention some of the same things, but now with an actual root cause. So anyways, God starts warning me through dreams, through Bible verses, that something was coming, and not to be afraid, because I was going to be more than a conqueror. Like, that verse kept coming up over and over again. And specifically, another one was he was going to take what the enemy meant for evil and turn it for good. And I remember telling Matt, like, something is coming. And then, like, he would actually see me, like, the verses would come up and he'd be like, whoa, that's crazy. You know, like,
yeah, my faith journey wasn't that deep at that point. So, you know, sometimes when Sarah would kind of like talk to me about certain things, I wouldn't say you sounded crazy, but I just, you know, I hadn't really witnessed certain things. You know, I grew up going to church, but, you know, I stopped, and I always knew that, you know, I always knew who our Savior was and our Father, but obviously I was on the fence.
Lukewarm, baby.
I was lukewarm, and I wasn't living right, and, you know, I was doing my own thing. So it was kind of a challenge for me to understand where she was coming from with these certain things that God was warning her about. And
I don't want you guys to think that God gave me mold toxicity illness, because he did not. He simply allowed it to happen. Like, the enemy inquired about me. The enemy went and inquired about me. God allowed the enemy to take everything from Job. I honestly, that is one of my favorite books in the Bible, because I resonate with him so much. Not that I had even half of the things happen to me as it did with Job. Sorry guys, it's really late right now, so I can't find my words. But God allowed Job to lose everything, and there was going to be a greater purpose with all of it, and there was going to be so much fruit and blessings from all of it. And I just think it's interesting, because Jesus was tempted in the wilderness after he was baptized. And it's like, he knew that I inquired about Jesus. He knew that I asked God to reveal himself to me and show me if he was in my life.
And he was mad.
2 weeks after, he sends me an illness. 2 weeks after, when I was just living this good, comfortable, cushiony life. I had everything, all the friends, the money, the materialistic things. I had my family. Like, I was living pretty good. And then 2 weeks after, I inquire about God, like, God, show me if you're still here. Boom.
Took everything.
Sick. He took everything. Not everything. I won't say that. But, you know, because I have you guys. But literally our whole house and everything in it,
the worldly
gone.
Things.
All the worldly things he took. 3 months after my son was born, actually, while I was pregnant, I started experiencing the drunken feeling. And I thought that I honestly thought that somebody accidentally gave me alcohol in one of my drinks at a restaurant, because we had went out for our anniversary. I ordered what's it called? Not a virgin margarita, because that was my drink. Margaritas, I love them. I loved past tense. So I asked for a virgin one, and as I was drinking it, I started feeling drunk, and I was like, okay, somebody definitely put alcohol in this. But really what was happening is there was mold in my body, and mold affects the way that sugar is processed in your body. So the more sugar I ate while I was pregnant, the more drunk I felt. So I kept feeling that way. I remember I went out to breakfast with my coworkers, and I had to leave because I literally was feeling that drunk feeling, and I was so tired. But it was just like off and on. It wasn't constant. So anyways, fast forward to 3 months postpartum, I started having this severe headache, just really, really bad headache on the right side of my head. It happens to mostly everyone. I feel like everyone gets, that's like one of the most common symptoms is headaches and fatigue and brain fog. That's exactly what I had, those 3 things. And I was just like, something is off. Like my head is really, really hurting. I've never had a migraine that bad in my life. And it was constant, nonstop from the moment I woke up until I went to sleep.
And we just thought it was like postpartum.
I don't even know what I thought, honestly. So I have this migraine, and we're kind of just like going with the flow. You know, I'm taking a medicine like Tylenol, and nothing was really helping. And we were just kind of ignoring it. We went out on a date in Santana Row, and
that was a huge day. I remember that because that was the first time I had just bought an Impala.
Can you guys see the problem here? He has an obsession.
I had just bought an Impala, and we finally, I think Sarah's mom was going to watch the kids. So obviously I was excited to go out on a date. And I know that Sarah hadn't been feeling well, but you know, that day she was still okay to at least go to dinner and have a drink and see if, you know, we could have a good night or whatever. And, I still remember to this day, I cleaned the car like all day just to get her in there. And we took a drive. We went to Santana Row, and we went to the counter. When we sat down,
we can't be name dropping our favorite spot.
Sorry. And
now they know where to find us every single Friday.
Yeah, because they serve gluten-free buns there for her. So, anyways, I remember we sat down and we ordered a drink like normal, and I remember her drink came. She literally took like one sip of her drink, and everything just went south from there.
I was feeling extremely dizzy.
Yeah, she was going to pass out. And, you know, I was an athlete all my life, so I know kind of when that type of feeling comes on, you know, it's always good to put
you had
water.
To throw that out there.
Yeah, you know, just
I was an athlete my whole life.
Just a little something for the audience, but no, you know, I had grabbed some ice from my drink and I put it on the back of her neck to kind of wake her up because, you know, she's literally like almost passing out in the restaurant, and she just at that point was literally like telling me like something's wrong. Like my head's killing me. Obviously she's almost fainting in the restaurant. Just something is not right. And at that point, it's like, okay, like we need to go to the hospital. And that's kind of the first, you know, the second trip in the car was to Good Samaritan.
Yeah, we went to the hospital. They said everything was fine. And then
gave you your mocktail or cocktail, migraine cocktail or something?
Migraine mocktail.
Yeah.
That was terrible. It basically like numbs the pain, but you can still feel it throbbing in your head. It was so weird. Anyways, every time I went back there, I was like, don't give me that. Like, I don't even want pain meds. I'd rather have this because it makes your whole body like shake. I didn't like that feeling. So anyways, fast forward to 2 weeks later, I still have the migraine. It's constant. I go back to the emergency room, and they gave me like this migraine medication that broke the migraine. But then after that, I was having migraines like 4 times a week, which is crazy. And at that point, they did tell me that I had postpartum anxiety, which is funny because they will pinpoint it to anything that's like new in your life. They basically ask like, what's new in your life? That's the reason why. You know, I could have literally told them I had a breakup and they would have said that was why I had a headache. So at this point, this is when I started feeling drunk. That's when I was like, okay, something's not right here. Like I literally feel like I'm drunk all day.
Yeah.
And I thought that God was punishing me because I had a problem with alcohol in the past. And I was like, okay, now God is like making me live with this all the time. Like I felt like I was going crazy. And at that point, I had deleted all of my social media because I was getting kind of jealous, like of watching other people live their lives. And we were in fight or flight mode, like all day and night. Like
Yeah,
we
I
didn't
remember.
know what was going to come.
Yeah, I mean, even for myself, like, I always hung out with an older crowd, and we were every weekend we were barbecuing or at a car show or doing something. And I remember like I had to basically like stop hanging out with everybody because I mean, obviously my wife's sick, and I'm not the type of individual to like kind of pour my problems on others, and I just felt like no one understood where I was coming from, and it was a tough time. Like we were both literally out of the world, like just with each other, helping each other through this. And
oh my gosh, I feel like
we didn't even know what was going on.
Yeah. And none of my friends really showed up for me in that time. Like maybe because I didn't know what was really going on with me. So it was hard to explain. Like every time I went to the emergency room, they would just say nothing was wrong with me. So I was just like, okay, what do I tell my family and friends? Like nobody understood why I wasn't able to hang out or go to that family event. Like nobody understood. Everyone was just like, okay.
Yeah,
they kind of like moved on with their lives.
We didn't really have answers. You'd be feeling like decent, and then like we'd go to, we'd obviously agree to go do something with, another couple or friends, and then an hour before, like you would just hit rock bottom again.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, well, we can't go. And after
I'm
a
sure
while,
people get mad, right?
you stop wanting to accept like invites because it's like, there's no point. Like we're not going to be able to make it.
Yeah, it was really depressing. It was really sad. And like deleting social media just helped me to focus on God, because that's when I really started reading the Bible and started like just seeking God completely. And I feel like I was kind of seeking him for the wrong reasons, but he still revealed himself to me. Like I was seeking him just for healing.
Just for healing,
But he revealed himself to me, and I was just like, that's where I fell in love with Jesus. Like in that house, in those moments, like in the depth of my valley, that's where I met Jesus. I've never met him like I did at that moment. And I was just like, there's no way I'm turning back. I was like all in for him, I was worshiping him. I was reading the word. I was praying all day. I was doing all of these things that I thought were like the way to get healed, I guess. But God was just like now God is revealing all of these things that are inside of my heart. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's so much, like it's never ending.
Yeah, and during this time too of, like Sarah's explaining, like her finding Jesus and just literally like laying it all out for him, every day was, I mean, it was a nightmare. It was literally a living nightmare. Just
every day. My symptoms, like, should I mention my symptoms right now?
Yeah.
Just for those of you who are curious, these are just some of the symptoms. So if you didn't know, mold gets processed through your liver. So that created a lot of issues with my liver. My liver is actually still really hard right now. I still have mold in my body 2 years later. This all happened in 2022, by the way. It's 2024. So it's been almost 2 years now since we've moved out of that house. So the mold gets processed through your liver. I have issues with my hormones. I still have issues with them. I had severe issues back then. My doctor told me if there were stages of how bad it is, mine would be stage 4. And then your liver basically empties out bile into your gallbladder. So because it was emptying out basically mold into my gallbladder and having issues with that, I ended up developing gallstones, which is crazy because I was eating salads every day, all day. Like I was not eating fried food or anything like that. So that was all because of the mold. And actually, when the doctor tells you that you can't shrink your gallstones, you can, because mine have shrunken. Is that the word? Mine shrank. Mine shrank. And yeah, they're smaller now. And I don't really have problems with that anymore. Praise God. So yeah, gallstones, hormonal imbalance, adrenal fatigue, stage 4, fluid surrounding my heart, tachycardia, which is like basically when your heart is racing all the time or like randomly. I was having heart palpitations, autoimmune disease, which is lupus. POTS, yeah, dysautonomia, tingling and numbness in my feet, my hands, my face, inability to focus. The feeling of being drunk all the time,
anxiety,
brain fog, and memory loss. Those are
iron.
Just low iron. Okay, so I was deficient in a lot of my nutrients because the mold basically attacks your gut as well. It just really messes up your gut, and that's where your nutrients are absorbed as well. So my iron was at like a level 2 when it's supposed to be at like 50. Now it's at 30, you guys. I feel like I talked about that so much in the last season. Yes, now it's at 30, which is great. I still get my shots and my butt cheek for those of you who probably weren't wondering, but I don't know why I said that. So yeah, those are the symptoms that I was experiencing in the house. And
this was every day. I mean,
this was
literally like,
I was fainting all the time.
Yeah.
I was
fainting. We had to put cameras in the house just because.
Just in case something
happened. Like, again, Sarah's a stay-at-home mom. God bless you, by the way, for that. Takes a very, very strong woman to deal with these two crazy kids.
They are crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, so, for myself, I had to work. So as I'm going to work, normally, when you get a text message from your significant other and first thing in the morning, it's a, good morning. I love you. Have a good day.
I was like, get back home.
Yeah.
Now.
And
I'm just kidding. I would never say that.
It's still, I got a little PTSD because, every text message from Sarah, it wasn't that. It was like, babe, I can't, I feel terrible this morning. My head's killing me. I don't know how I'm going to get through today.
You guys,
she was losing it.
It was crazy. I couldn't even turn a corner of my house. I couldn't get up to cook. I was somebody who loved cooking every day. I would make food. And it got to the point where I could barely stand. I could barely churn without feeling like I was going to fall over. I was so
She was basically a vegetable.
Dizzy. I was like a vegetable. When he would get home from work, I would go upstairs to my room and sleep from the moment he came home to the next day. I was just out of it. Or sometimes
or if we went for a walk and we'd literally we lived in a townhouse, a complex, and we would literally walk once around the complex, and Sarah would literally have to take a 3-hour nap. And she had no energy for anything. And again, we didn't know what it was. We didn't know what was going on at that point.
Yeah. At this point, we thought that it was postpartum anxiety. I remember going to Stanford, which was a really, really great hospital. And I had gone to all of the ones in my area. I think I went to 4 hospitals to try and figure out what was going on with me. Different doctors, different specialists. Nobody had an answer for me except for postpartum anxiety. And so I was given birth control, which I'm not a fan of. And that was just ridiculous because I already had crazy things going on with my adrenal glands, and it didn't help. It actually made things worse, especially with your gallbladder. It's a whole thing, you guys. I've learned so much about the body, by the way. So anyways, I think talking about walks, we should probably bring up the next, I guess, severe incident that happened.
So, like Sarah had mentioned, when I get home from work, it's basically just, take care of what needs to get done. And I remember that one night when I came home, Sarah obviously had a rough day. She was literally just laid out on the couch, and
I was texting you I'm literally gonna pass out. I feel like I'm gonna faint
that day. That day was she had already been really. She had talked about it almost every day, but that day was literally said it probably 10 or 15 times. I feel like I'm gonna faint.
And I remember my heart hurting so bad. I was having really bad chest pain. My whole left arm and hands were tingling so much.
And then you were Googling, so...
And at the time, I didn't have tachycardia. I actually had the opposite, where it was beating too slow. At night, it felt like I had sleep apnea, which is what one of the cardiologists told me that I had. She said I had sleep apnea, which she didn't even test me for. She just let's pull something out of the sky and say that she has sleep apnea. And that wasn't even true because it was just a mold. I was basically, at night, I would wake up from not breathing. And I'd wake up like that, and having to sit up oh my gosh, every night it would happen 2 or 3 times a night. And then I would also have restless legs to where I felt like I needed to stretch the crap out of my legs while I was sleeping. It was really bad. It really damaged my nerves.
So yeah, I remember coming home and I told Sarah, I said, let's get out of the house. Let's go for a walk. Let's get you some fresh air. I know today's, was rough, but let's see if maybe some sun and some fresh air will help.
That was like a thing that we did. Like it was even before mold illness.
Yeah,
we always
used
went
to
for walks.
like to do it.
Even
The kids
now
liked
we do.
it.
Like we love going for walks.
Yeah. And I remember Sarah was like, she never brings her phone on walks. And I think my phone was dead or something. And I remember walking out of the garage ready to hit the clicker. And I was like, do you have your phone? And she's like, no. And I was like, well, mine's dead. Let's get your phone. She's like, oh, we don't need it. I was like, get your phone, please. Like there was just a weird feeling that something was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I remember we made our normal walk around the complex like normal, but probably like the last turn before you get back to our townhouse, Sarah was walking in front of me, and I just saw her let go of the stroller with the kids, and she literally she fell to the cement. Obviously, I was able to catch her. I didn't know if she was joking or not because I had never seen her actually faint. But yeah, she fainted, and I remember pulling her. I'm looking around, and there was 2 or 3 neighbors just staring at me, like they didn't know what had happened, but they just see her passed out. They see me. I was in a tank top, it looked like I had just put hands on her or something.
You
I'm
always result to that.
Well, it's just the way they look at me. It's just
I don't even think you know how they look at you. Okay.
But anyway, so I put Sarah on the grass, and luckily there was actually a lady who had came out who I guess was some kind of nurse. She worked in the hospital or something, so she knew kind of lift her legs up, and Sarah was able to kind of open her eyes and kind of regain consciousness. Eyes, and the
first thing I saw were my hairy legs because I didn't shave that day.
Yeah, well,
or not that day, probably that week, or in those 2 weeks or something.
Probably,
they were pretty hairy. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was just a rough season.
It was a rough season.
You've never seen my hairy legs since then.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember the kids were confused as to what was going on. They were crying, so and sad. We had to obviously call 911, and the ambulance took Sarah to the hospital, which she was admitted because your EKG came up bad.
Yeah, it came back abnormal.
And I think you were admitted for 4 or 5 days, because I remember that's when
they were trying
I took
to figure
time
out
off
what
work.
was going on with my heart.
Yeah. And that's where you found the tachycardia.
That's I don't know if that was tachycardia moment, but that's where they found the fluid around my heart.
Or the fluid, yeah.
Yeah. So I was given medication for that fluid, and I had to get checked on, I think 2 weeks later, maybe 4 weeks, something like that. And I was on heavy medication to get that fluid out, but it was not going away. And the cardiologist was like, I don't know why it's not going away. He couldn't even tell me if this was an underlying symptom of something else that was going on, or in his experience, who typically gets pericardial effusion. Why did I have it? He was basically you need to go talk to a different doctor, or go find a different specialist. So yeah, I was dealing with that. In the meantime, I was looking for a different cardiologist because I felt he wasn't helping me at all. And so at that point, I was really just praying and praying and praying, because I felt like God was really speaking to me, telling me that he was going to reveal so many things. I remember I kept having dreams about being in a dark room and his light was just shining in there. And I was like, okay, that's obviously God speaking. He's telling me that his light is coming to shine in this dark area, in this dark season of my life. There's going to be revelation in this season. And I was just I actually can't believe I'm saying this right now, but I miss those moments, and I only miss them because of how desperate I was for Jesus. I can honestly say that there's nothing like being in the valley. There's nothing like it at all. I loved that desperation for Jesus. And it's so sad to say that when you don't have these issues, you don't really experience that desperation for him, and you end up missing it. That's why so many people are take me back to that place where I fell in love with you, because the world distracts you. Life happens and it gets distracting and you lose sight of things. So I just really miss those moments with him, and I try my best to have my quiet time every day, although it looks different with 2 young toddlers. Like, I know that there's grace for every season, but I just try my best to have those moments where it's just me and Jesus, and it's just me worshiping him. Like, it's me just laying everything down at his feet, because I know that he is here and that he is always on time. Like, that is one thing that I know for certain, is he is always, always, always on time. He came right on time. He came and saved us right on time.
And it's not supposed to be when we want it to be, right?
That's so true.
And that's something that we've obviously learned. And again, I think it kind of hit me probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago at this new church we were talking about. But the pastor there was just talking about how, you know, we as humans that obviously live in this evil world, like, we want everything on our time, or we just want the glory, we just want this and that. But it's all in God's hands, and it's all on his timing. So whatever his will is for you, like, that's what it's going to be. Like, you can continue to try and fight and try and convince him that, like, oh, it needs to be on this time because I deserve it, Lord, I deserve it. But at the end of the day, it's really, you know, I have so many examples of me trying to always do it Matt's way, and it never works out Matt's way. It always works out another way. But now I look back and it's like, that was God.
Yeah, like, and it ends up being so much better than what you have
way
planned.
Better, yeah.
Like, so much better. If God would have healed me a month into my migraine attack, oh my goodness, I would be the same exact person.
You would have went right back to everything else.
I would have went right back. Like, I struggled today to lay down my life. Like, I struggle daily to crucify my flesh.
We all
imagine
do.
Back then.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if he would have healed me 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 7 months into it.
Yeah.
Even now, he has me in this for a reason, and I just ask him, reveal it to me and help me to learn and grow in this season. Like, don't let it be done in vain. I want there to be fruit from this, and I want to learn as much as I can and grow in whatever way possible. So I have laid everything down. Like, you know that I've laid everything down, and if there are things that I haven't laid down, he's going to reveal that to me.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Sarah, obviously the Sarah that was for the world, and obviously the Sarah that's picked up her cross and that really does, you know, strive to be a better person for the Lord every day. And I've seen the battles that you've gone through, you know, spiritually and just everything. And you know, you're doing a great job, because obviously me seeing her do that, you know, it woke me up. You know, it woke me
it's
up.
Biblical.
And we'll get to kind of that story soon too, of
I know.
me being woke.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that, because I think that's the next main thing here. Is like, when you basically, one night Matt made dinner for us. Like, he came home, it was just like another night where I was feeling crappy. He came home, made dinner, and immediately I think he poisoned my food, because I was not feeling good after that.
Like, I can cook a couple meals. I'm not that bad.
Eggs, cereal, toast.
That was back in the day.
hitters.
Now I'm on the ground turkey, ground beef,
Turkey burgers.
turkey burgers.
Turkey burgers.
She likes the turkey burgers.
I like the turkey
I can make
burgers.
my steak's pretty good. I gotten better.
Have I tried your? I think
Yeah.
I used to. I don't eat steak anymore, guys. That's another thing. So you guys need to know this. So the mold tears up your stomach like crazy. I have so many food sensitivities. I don't think I brought that up, but I have so many food sensitivities. So I can't eat steak, red meat. There's so many things. I wish that I could name them all right now, but I'm not going to bore you guys.
I feel like I lost a lot of weight because
you did. We both lost a lot of weight.
Because we were like, we can't really go like anywhere that, you know, I want to go.
Oh, I lost weight because of
like,
mold.
Well, I know, but I'm just talking like
going on my
gluten-free, and
yeah,
not everywhere is gluten-free options.
Yeah,
that's why we go to the counter a lot.
Yeah, I went gluten-free and dairy-free because of my autoimmune. Well, I went before finding out about lupus, because I just like was reading that it wasn't good, and I thought that was the reason why I was getting sick.
When you found out about mold, you changed your diet.
I was gluten-free though before that, and dairy-free. I remember. Yes, I remember. 100%. Because I remember told me to start. I think I was like barely implementing it.
But told you to start. That was after we found out about mold.
He thinks he knows everything, you guys. That's okay. Anyways, that's
edit that part out.
No, keep that part in. Okay, so my stomach starts hurting, like literally excruciating pain. I'm going to compare it to labor pain because I've gone through labor twice, so I know what it feels like. I wasn't even screaming during labor. I was chilling.
Yeah, you were chilling.
And this was literally, I was screaming in pain. And
it was like right around the kid's bedtime.
yeah.
So Sarah, with the stomach pain that she was having, she had to use the restroom. So we got her to the restroom, or I got her to the restroom. And as she's doing her business, she felt like she was going to pass out. So I'm trying to hold her up. She's doing her business. I'm looking over. The kids are looking at us, like screaming, crying. They were confused as to what was going on with mommy. And, that was going on for a little bit. And I remember finally, cleaning her up and
cleaning me up. Okay, don't even. No, you did not. You have never wiped me. Don't go there. He's been pretty close.
Pretty
you guys,
close. Okay,
you did not wipe me. I didn't let you wipe me.
She wiped, and
you weren't looking either. You weren't in the bathroom.
I was in the bathroom.
I was conscious enough to be like, don't freaking look at me.
I was in the bathroom. Anyway, so she got done. I carried her back to the couch, put her down, and I told her that I'd be right back because I was going to put the kids to sleep. And I remember being in the room, rocking him. He needed a little, soothing before I put him in his crib. And as I was rocking JJ, I just remember a voice in my head, and I knew it wasn't God, but I didn't know where it was coming from. But I remember the voice telling me to basically grab my gun that was in my closet and shoot myself.
That was a spirit, an evil spirit of suicide.
Yeah.
Because I've mentioned to you guys that I was suicidal as well when I was undiagnosed. And yeah, like I didn't hate my life. You didn't hate your life. We hated the circumstance that we were in. Like we were caught in a really tough situation and we felt like there was just no end. Like that's how severe this was, you guys. That's how serious this was, is that two people who absolutely loved their lives wanted to end it because we could not find an answer.
Yeah.
And we were just living in what felt like hell every single day.
And the enemy, the voice was telling me that, this is now your life. As a husband, as a protector, every day you want to take that pain from your significant other, your loved one. But I couldn't, like, no matter, how hard I would try to like make her feel better or anything, like nothing that I could do was helping her through that time other than, just me being there for her. So I just was getting tricked into thinking that, hey, end it. Like, this is literally your life. You have no more social life. You have basically nothing. Like, your life is basically wake up, you go to work, and during work, you're getting text messages about your wife basically wanting to commit suicide because she was so miserable every day of her life. And I remember hearing those negative thoughts and looking down at our baby, and he wasn't smiling at me, but he gave me this smirk, and it just literally brought me back to like, okay, like I can't give up on this situation. Like, I have a beautiful family and we're going to figure this out. So I put JJ down. I went back downstairs to obviously, attend to Sarah, and literally as I sat down, her pain in that stomach, like in her stomach, literally started flaring up again, like out of nowhere.
It was like a roller coaster. Like I would feel good for like 2 minutes and then the pain would come back and it was just like excruciating.
Yeah, like it was literally like perfectly, it said like labor pain. Yeah. And I couldn't tell you why it was happening. Obviously we didn't know, but it was the mold.
It attacks your body.
And when she would, at that point when Sarah would have those situations come up, or those episodes, I would get frustrated because, like I mentioned, I want to take that pain for her, but I couldn't. So instead of being frustrated when that was happening, I just remember grabbing her and just holding her and hugging her. And while I did that, was the first time I actually prayed, during that episode. And as I was praying, literally like just praying to God, please take her pain away. Like, just put your hand over her and take her pain. As I was saying those words, I remember everything went silent. Sarah stopped crying, and I asked Sarah, I was like, are you okay? And she goes, yeah. I go, are you still in pain? And she goes, no. And at that moment, I felt God in the room. Like, I literally told Sarah, like, I was just praying for you, and I feel God. God is right here on the couch with us. Like, he's with us. Mm-hmm. And for someone who, again, I believe in the Lord, or I believed in the Lord at that point, but I was nowhere near where I'm at today with my faith. And for anyone who's never experienced something like that before, like, there's no way to describe it other than like,
you have to experience.
It's crazy.
And it's not just an experience. Like, at that point when you're born again, it's like you lay down your life.
Yeah.
And your heart changes. Like, the Holy Spirit comes to live in you. You start getting convicted of like the sin that you're committing, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful awakening.
Yeah. And Sarah at that point, up until that point, had been trying to like get me to that. Like, she was always telling me like you're a chosen one, like the Lord, wants to use you. And again, me being selfish Matt, like, I'm living for Matt, like, obviously I take care of mine, but I just had a selfish tendency that I've always had my whole life. So, again, when I told her that the Lord was in the room, Sarah was like, you're born again. Like, this is
so funny because
she had been praying for it.
Yeah, I'd been praying for it so much. Like, ladies, if your husband, and I say husband because if you are dating a man who's not a man of God, sis, you better run the other way far, far. But if you are married to a man who is not a man of God, or who is not devoted to Jesus, pray, pray, pray. Do not nag, pray. And I can't wait to do an episode on that topic, but that's all I'm going to say is pray, because prayer, it really works. And basically, like, with everything that we've learned so far, we know that a spirit knows when its time is up. When its time is up in your household, when its time is up inside of you, an evil spirit knows when its time is up. And that evil spirit was telling you to commit suicide because he wanted to take you with him. Yeah. The evil spirit didn't want his time to be up. It knew that there was about to be an anointing after he was lying to you. It knew that the presence of God was in the room and that his time was up. Like, he felt the fire of God. And he knew that his time was going to be up. So he tries lying to you and tried to persuade you into making a terrible decision so that you wouldn't encounter God like you did that night that forever changed you. Yeah.
And I think not giving into that, obviously, like, I think that spirit, like Sarah said, was out of me, because after that day, or after that situation, I haven't had that type of thought, up until that point. And
same.
The crazy part, and I didn't even finish that night, but after I had that encounter, my mom had texted me literally, and Sarah, a link to a naturopathic doctor. Mm-hmm. And again, we had been praying for answers for months at that point.
Yeah, and I was just like, a naturopathic doctor? Like, I looked at the website and I was like, holistic doctor? Like, what is she going to do for me? Like, I've dealt with Stanford and all of these, specialists and whatnot who weren't able to find an answer.
Western medicine.
We can get into that later.
No, don't get me going on that.
Yeah, I haven't seen a doctor, like a real doctor, I guess I don't even want to say real doctor. I've not seen one of those types of doctors. I mean, actually, I do see specialists still, but I don't have my primary care doctor is a holistic doctor. So yeah, I was looking at her website and I was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna get this appointment squared away. Like, this is probably God. Like, this is the Holy Spirit guiding us to this website because of everything that had just happened. Like, I really felt like timing is everything. So anyways, this is the doctor who diagnosed me, and she found out about, she ran her testing, like, from the very first visit. She knew that my liver was suffering because my shoulders were, like, she used Chinese medicine and like Chinese tactics. Is that what you can call it?
I would say, yeah.
To figure out what's like going on inside of my body. So yeah, my liver was suffering. I was having like lymphatic issues with, my lymphatic system wasn't draining properly. And so she runs her tests on me and she finds out that I'm borderline lupus. I think at that point it was like my numbers were really high, but I wasn't testing positive yet for lupus. And so I thought like, okay, that's the answer. I have lupus. Like, this is why I feel so bad. And she was like, that is actually not the answer. Like, we need to get to the bottom of this. So she starts doing all of these testings. I ended up doing a stool test, TMI, but they found yeast in my stool. And so, and I tested positive for, what was that one virus? Epstein-Barr virus.
Oh.
And she said that she only saw those two things in people who either have parasites in their body or are living in a house with mold. And so at that point, somebody had just brought up mold to us too. Not only that, but a couple weeks, I want to say a week before, I noticed that my newborn was having a lot of issues breathing. And when he was drinking his bottles, he would have to take breaks because he couldn't breathe. And then I started thinking about my other son. He was experiencing rashes all over his body. They both were having rashes and really bad eczema, always sick. My other one was starting to get fevers, really tired, super tired. Both of them started getting
JJ
really
slept
sleepy.
like all day.
Yeah, we thought like, oh, we just got lucky with a good baby. He's sleeping all the time. But poor baby was like high from mold probably. And so I started to realize like my son has a lot of food sensitivities, like maybe it is mold. And so I told Matt about it. He schedules an appointment with somebody to come and test the house. And I didn't really have any expectations because at this point I had exhausted every single option. Like I felt like I was just being let down left and right. Like I could not find a root cause. So I didn't know what to expect at this point. I just was trying not to expect anything. And I just packed a little diaper bag. I went to go be with my mom for the day. And
yeah, I remember the mold specialist company, I guess, went to the townhouse while I was at work. And my dad, shout out Pops, he met.
Shout out to Eugene.
Yeah. My mom's name is Jean and my dad's name is Eugene. So just a little fun fact real quick. But anyways, yeah, my dad had met the lady that did the mold inspection at the house. And, you know, she had been in the industry for like 15, 20 years. She said, she told my dad, and she mentioned to my dad, as soon as she walked into our townhouse, she smelt it right away and instantly like got a headache.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so she was an expert in it, which is why she could smell it. And now I know exactly what that means because at this point, since we lived in it, every time I enter a building that has mold, immediately I can smell it when nobody else can.
Or you get lightheaded or something.
Yeah, or I get symptoms. So yeah, like our house didn't smell. No, like everyone who was there, I would ask them like, did you smell anything? And they'd be like, no.
Yeah, we had candles. We were always
air purifiers which fed everything. The mold.
Yeah, and candles are poison too.
Yeah,
just
candles
FYI.
are poison. We don't do that. We don't do harsh chemicals anymore. And like our lives completely changed.
Yeah. So anyway, so she conducted the testing and I paid for the expedited results. So the next day she called me, and one of those things where I just remember to this day, you know, she said, Matt, so the testing came back and the two areas that we were concerned about literally were full of black mold. And she said, I'm going to be honest with you. The reason why your wife is more than likely experiencing the symptoms that she's dealing with is due to the black mold. And she cannot step foot back into that house because she's slowly going to die there, which she already was. She was literally, I mean, she was basically a vegetable like we had mentioned earlier. But
it's so crazy because remember my Instacart shopper? I got like really close with my Instacart shopper, and I don't know how we got into this topic. I think she had asked me like, hey, I noticed you order gluten-free food a lot. Like, why are you gluten-free? And so I told her about the mold situation. She was like, my mom actually died and I know it was from mold, but nobody else talks about it. She said that they found mold inside. Her mom was basically like, they thought that she was going crazy. They thought that the mom was going crazy, which is interesting because I would always say that in the townhouse. The only way that I was able to explain myself is I feel like I'm going crazy. So she said that they thought that her mom was going crazy. She was having symptoms of a stroke, which is what I also mentioned, is that I was having symptoms of a stroke as well. And the mom ended up going to sleep one day and never waking up.
Yeah.
And that's what I was experiencing. Like I would go to sleep and it was like the enemy was honestly trying to kill me. Like I would go to sleep and then I would wake up because I wasn't breathing. But if I wasn't as aware, like I could have just went to sleep and not woken up.
Yeah. And on that phone call, after explaining that about Sarah, she literally told me that that's why our baby JJ was having trouble breathing, is because they actually link up black mold to SIDS in babies. So hearing that you could potentially lose, you know, not only your loved one, but your baby, my heart just obviously just dropped. And, you know, we literally couldn't take anything with us. So we basically, like 95% of all of our possessions at that time in that townhouse, we haven't seen since. Like
Yeah,
we,
like I was able to save birth certificates, social security cards. That's basically it. They condemned our house.
yeah,
They condemned it, so we were not able to go back into it and get any of our belongings. It was a huge like situation with our landlords because they were actually unwilling to help us. We had asked them if they could test the house for mold and they said no. So we had to get that taken care of on our own, which is not cheap. It was just weird. Like I remember watching on Arlo cameras. Like I remember her talking to you and I just started crying because I'm like, this is it. And I start Googling like symptoms of mold. And of course it gives you like a list of 5 symptoms,
yeah,
but I was like,
runny nose and like cough.
runny nose. Yeah. It
All the
was
cold
so
symptoms.
much worse than that. Congestion. It makes your allergies, your seasonal allergies really bad as well.
Well, it's crazy because mold sometimes, like if you're not really affected by it, like there's some people who could be around mold and it doesn't really affect them.
Yeah.
Right. But it affected Sarah a lot worse. Obviously she was a stay-at-home mom, so she was in it all day. But also too, it affects the weak parts of your body. Sarah, who had just had a baby, her immune system was already shot.
Yeah.
And then dealing with mold, it just amplified
So
everything.
some people get asthma. There's a long list of symptoms, but mold affects people differently. And I feel like I just got almost every symptom.
Yeah.
So anyways, I just remember like crying in that moment and just thanking God, like this is the reason why I've been having these health issues. And
Finally got an answer.
we finally got an answer. And just when, like, that was honestly what I was praying for so long. And I'm just so grateful for how it happened too, like how God revealed himself in that moment and in those moments, and how he never left us alone. Like he never left me alone. I never felt like I was alone, even though a lot of people failed me in that time, even though I didn't have a lot of people checking in on me. Like, even though there were people who thought that I was just going crazy. Like Sarah just thinks that she has all of these things wrong with her, and really there's nothing wrong with her. Like God was really right there with me, and it was so beautiful. Like I am just so honored and so blessed to be known by him. And so at that point, like I thought that everything was going to get better, but it almost felt like that area got better where I just had relief that we found an answer. But then I started
had already been done.
I started dealing with the effects that the mold had on my body, which was I ended up actually testing positive for lupus. I ended up having like brain trauma because the mold was right here, like on the right side of my brain, and I still have the drunk feeling. Like I still have POTS and headaches. I still have crazy fatigue. Now it all comes in waves though, which is better than it being constant with no breaks. You know what I mean? And I feel like it is getting easier. And I want to mention this one book. I'll put it in my link. I'll link it in my description, you guys. So if any of you have any questions and you can't really afford to see a naturopathic doctor, because we all know they don't accept insurance, unfortunately, or insurance doesn't cover them. There's a book that I read, and I'm just going to continue to read it so that I can continue to remind myself that it's such a long process. This healing process is so long. It is so emotionally draining, and it's just so painful. It's really painful emotionally to keep going through this and feeling like you're taking one step forward and 10 steps backwards. I just have to keep reminding myself that I am being healed. Like I do feel better than how I felt a year ago today. And
Yeah, and everyone's healing journey is going to be
yeah,
different. You know, even for myself in the townhouse, you know, I think obviously me, I was in the gym every day and I was still going to work. So, you know, I was obviously not as affected by someone like Sarah who just had a baby. Her immune system was shot and she was literally at home all day breathing it in. And my symptoms in the townhouse while we were living there was just really bad fatigue, like congestion, and I'd have off and on headaches, and then I would have some heart palpitations, which, you know, I thought maybe I took too much pre-workout or something like that.
yeah,
But
you were having chest pain.
I was having some
That's
chest pain, but
right.
again, I kind of just tried to push through it. But I think my symptoms got actually worse because I was like stuck in that like fight or flight mode, just, you know, dealing with high stress at, you know, dealing with Sarah and just her health situation.
And I'm honestly grateful that God didn't allow us both to experience
Oh yeah, we would have
symptoms
been
at the same time.
It would have been bad. It would have been bad if we were both dealing with that.
Yeah, because
but
he got symptoms months after moving
Yeah.
out of the house.
like I deal with the POTS.
He has POTS
And
now.
it's terrible. Like I can't imagine like having that times 10. Like Sarah, I think hers is you know, a lot worse than mine, obviously. But someone like myself who, you know, is again still in the gym every day, and you know, I'm doing more outdoor things and stuff. And sometimes it's hard because again, people don't understand that feeling that POTS gives you, like when you just want to go into a mall and go shop, and sometimes the lighting in the mall can trigger you to feel like you want to faint.
Like, you guys,
It's
you don't
terrible.
know how hard it was for me to film last season because of POTS. Like
Yeah.
the lights and everything. I wish if I could record this in the dark, I would. And honestly, I thought about just not doing the YouTube thing at all because of how it made me feel. Like right now, my POTS is kicking in and I'm getting really like tired and just really dizzy.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to focus. That's why in the last season, there are so many edits. Like I couldn't even finish an episode without doing edits because there were moments where I just had to like stop and take a break, or like stop and just rest my eyes, or like find my words because of my brain fog. It was so bad. And all of these things are getting better, but it's like really hard because I do have to be on antifungals and binders and all of these things. And when you attack mold in your body, it's going to attack back because it's living and it wants to colonize inside of your body. It wants to stay there. And when you give it things like antifungals, which are supposed to kill the mold and pull the mold out of your body, it's going to make you feel like absolute crap. And that's what I'm dealing with now is like, I want to detox really, really badly. But every time I do, I experience symptoms to where I'm bedridden. Sometimes I can't walk, I can't do certain things. But if I don't attack it, lupus will get worse, POTS will get worse. It actually leads to cancer. Your lymphatic system gets backed up. So I know I can't live with this mold. So I have to continue to detox. And that means having to push through all of the symptoms that come with fighting mold.
Yeah. And even if you go to the gym and you start exercising, obviously sweat is releasing toxins. So it's killing mold and it's releasing through your sweat. But again, you're detoxing and you're killing stuff that's living in your body,
Yeah,
which again, a lot of people don't understand. So
the mold wants you to sit and do absolutely nothing.
and then when someone like Sarah and I, when we sit on the couch, like we literally want to like just completely just close our eyes and sleep for like 48 hours. Like it's there's no type of fatigue like when you have mold exposure.
Oh my gosh,
like it's
seriously.
crazy.
And I really want you guys to get that book that I'm telling you about. I think it's called Breaking the Mold.
Breaking the Mold, yeah.
I'll link it in the description. It is so informative about mold, what to do, like what the symptoms are. I highly, highly recommend that you guys reach out to a naturopathic doctor. I don't know about a Western doctor. I mean, I tried them and nobody was able to help me with it. They all just think it's a joke because there is no FDA approved mold test. even though we did mold testing on ourselves from our doctor, our naturopathic doctor, and that's how we discovered mold. Like, I honestly think that the government doesn't want people to find out about mold because it leads to heart issues, brain issues, autoimmune diseases, autism, ADHD, and these are all money makers.
They want to keep you on the medicines to try and put a Band-Aid over things. And you know what we've learned through this process is, you know, the companies with the big money behind them, you know, they're not gonna shed light on something like that, because again, we're going to, if we know the answers and we know how to take care of it, we're not going to go to the pharmacies.
The answers are in the plants and fruits. The answers are in the dirt.
All diet related.
It's all diet related, you guys.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
That's that's a whole another episode. Yeah. Right, I don't want to get shadow banned because we're talking about that. So.
Oh my gosh. But anyways, you guys, I want to be completely open and transparent and available for people who have questions about mold, because I didn't have anyone. I remember reaching out to like this random girl in New York City who kind of had the same symptoms as me, but it was still really hard. Like, it was just hard to find somebody to talk to. Like, even though my naturopathic doctor is amazing and she knows a lot about mold, she still has never experienced it. So she doesn't even have a clue what I'm going through, you know? And it's just nice to be able to talk to somebody about it. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments or any stories or anything, comment down below, shoot me a message. I would just love to connect with you and help you out in any way that I can. But like I said, try your best to reach out to a naturopathic doctor. And get yourself tested, get your house tested. The best thing to do is to get away from that mold. Well, you guys, we hope that you enjoyed this episode of the podcast. I am so excited that I'm back, and I can't wait to have Matt back on the potty with me. I'm trying to get him back like a lot.
You know, again, this is the first time being behind a camera for a podcast.
When he sees himself, he's gonna be like, "Ooh, I like the way I look. I'm gonna do this. Right. I'm gonna start doing this." No,
but yeah, if you guys want more of us together on different topics, like, you know, let Sarah know, and
let me know, you guys.
I'll pencil her in my busy schedule to see if I can get a little introduction or a little
spotlight.
Spotlight. I'm very lucky to be the first guest on here. I know that there are some more guests that Sarah's going to want to bring on here, but yeah, if you guys want more of us, let us know. And well, I love you.
Me?
Yeah.
Or the people?
I love everybody. I love the people.
There's a lot of love to spread.
A lot of love.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. I really, really hope that it blesses you. I just pray, and I'm going to continue to pray, that the Lord guides people who are struggling with mold illness to this video. Yeah. Whether you don't even know about the mold yet, or you've encountered it, or you're actually going through the illness and you know what it is, I just pray that this video blesses you, helps you, and comforts you, because honestly, even just being comforted in those moments helps out so much. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, comments, please let me know. And I'm going to have a prayer link in my description again. You guys can go ahead and click on that and let me know how I can pray for you specifically. I am so excited for the next episode, and I guess I'll see you guys there. We'll see if Matt's going to be there or not.
I might. Jesus image.
Oh, you can't tell them.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, well, little teaser. All right, well, thank you guys. Bedtime. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next episode.